I want you folks to remember something. I have never had a hater that was doing better than me. We're going to talk about one of the most hateful comments I received in the last 7 days to start this section of comments. Mark, how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Good, good. Happy New Year. Yeah, so this one you shared on X, and yeah, it's a very interesting one. So this video though that you did with your weekly wrap up with TY, the Mandani Shits on America, got a lot of feedback, but this one stood out. So this one says, this tech dork read the Purple Bible a decade ago and created this worthless channel where he puts out useless daily videos on real estate with no value. It ain't education. It's all coffee chit chat with C-class real estate influencers. One day housing is going to the moon. Next day video about the big housing crash. The bar to start a channel with no liability is yours for the low cost of free 99.
Yeah, I mean, first off, thank you for your patronage. He clearly watches a lot of my channel. He knows that Rich Dad Poor Dad was an important journey. He knows I was in tech. He knows I talk real estate. So again, he's a fan, right? All these haters typically are fans. So he's consuming content and paying me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. He did get a lot of things wrong. I've not been doing this for 10 years. It's been almost 30 years. So that's wrong. Get your facts straight. And yeah, I talk about what's going on in real estate each and every day. I've said that real estate is going to be flat for 3 years now and have been right on price. I've talked about a real estate crash and transaction and was right. I talked about an August bottom and was right. I own a lot of C-class properties, which is workforce housing, and I'm happy to do it. All my units are available for Section 8. I'm happy to do it. And, if you don't think my channel's, worth it, then stop watching. Clearly you see some value because I'm in your head. And you're consuming content, and the only thing you can't get back in life is time. And I'm clearly in your head and consuming some of your time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so like I said, this weekly wrap up with TY brought out a lot of haters and comments and whatnot. But this individual says, how are broke people advocating for billionaire rights? You guys aren't in that category that's going to get taxed. None of you guys are in the billionaire club. They're just trying to get housing under control by stopping illegal practices. Stop fear mongering.
So there's a couple of things. I believe he was talking about the 5% wealth tax that California is putting on place. And again, I don't give a rat's ass about billionaires. And frankly, I don't give a rat's ass about California. I don't pay taxes here. I live in Nevada. But what I do care about is the government lying to people and setting up the middle class to be screwed. I care about the middle class. I don't care about billionaires. But what the middle class needs to realize in this proposal in California is this is a structural change to the tax code, because we no longer are taxing income, we're taxing assets. And yes, they've artificially thrown the line at $1 billion, supposedly only impacts 250 or 300 people in California, to set you up. Because who's to say that next year they don't make it 100 million, and then 5 years from now make it 10 million, and 15 years make it 1 million? That's what they're doing. If they can get this tax change to go from income to assets, the middle class is fucked. Why do I say that? Because the net worth of all the billionaires is about $8 trillion. The net worth of all the middle class is $176 trillion. So you fucking idiots are being lied to about this being a billionaire tax. They're coming after the middle class. There's not enough money in the billionaires to fix the California spending problem. And if you let these freaking criminals in Sacramento do this, they're going to fuck you. So that's the problem I have.
Now, we saw kind of the different comments coming through that video, that weekly wrap up. This one, though, was from your video with Jason Hartman, the Breaking Venezuela, the Tim Walz, New York City mayor. But this individual is just asking, have you ever thought about creating a YouTube channel strictly for talking politics and world news and keeping that separate from ORAT? It says, I love this channel for the real estate investing piece. It's been a daily watch for me, literally 24/7. But the political stuff, I personally don't care for because politics is too full of heated emotions and half-truths kind of stuff from both sides that I don't care for.
So no, I've never thought about it until this week. So I've done 2 political shows, and anytime I do one, I'm going to announce it up front with big red letters, right? Political show, because again, I know some people don't like it. So if that's you, don't watch it. I've done 2. I did the first one with Jason Hartman, which, generally speaking was well received. And I've just did one with the 3 amigos, as a lot of people ask me, thank you for doing it with Jason, but what does Matt and Dion think? So we did record one that posts Saturday morning at 7:30. So it's not live yet. And again, big red letters up front, politics, politics, politics. And, I have no intentions of talking politics. I, like this reader, think all politicians, red or blue, right or left, are disgusting creatures who are only interested in being reelected. I think it's where, criminals wear suits. I hate all politicians. I hate some more than others. See my long running history with Gavin Newsom as a great example of that. But I think they all suck, right? They just all suck. So I really have no interest in talking politics. However, whether we like it or not, some topics impact our economy and they impact real estate. So I'll have to talk about them. If the videos with Jason and, the 3 amigos really took off, I might create another channel and just post them there. But at this point, I'm comfortable doing 1 or 2 a month and just being upfront that this is political. Don't watch if you don't want to hear this stuff. I don't know. So, I mean, I reserve the right to change my opinion, but as of right now, I think it's better just to be clear and frankly, not do a lot of them. But sometimes you just have to, like, you just have to do it. So yeah, I don't know. That's my current thoughts.
Well, you might have a bunch of channels coming out, because I think even last week we touched on someone was asking for a dating, more dating advice channel. So you have a political, real estate, dating.
But at the end of the day, I think ORAD is just me, and I'm very much economy, real estate. But yeah, there's a little politics, a little health, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So same thing. This was on the Mandami Shuts on America. Hammer Mike REI comments: how good or bad of a job has Powell done to navigate this? Low unemployment, good upcoming GDP, and low inflation. And you said this is a fun conversation maybe to have.
Yeah, I think Powell, legacy is going to be one that kind of has two stories. One is going to be about the runaway inflation. I even think Powell, if you gave him true serum, would admit that the Fed stayed too low, too long. They bought MBS, mortgage-backed securities, for too long and too much. I think in hindsight, everyone, including Powell, realizes that was a mistake. However, as he's wrapping up his term, he's gotten through his term without an official recession. Pretty good. He's now gotten inflation down from 9.1 to the latest reading of 2.6. And frankly, I think it's below 2. Nice job. I do think he is missing the weakness in the job market, labor market, but he might be lucky enough that breaks after he leaves. So it will be somebody else's problem, which is in May. So I do think Powell's going to have a complicated history. I do also think that Powell was more political than you would like. I think the fact that he cut before the last election is an example of that. I think the fact that he didn't, it was delayed to cut this time is an example of that. So there's also that strike. But, on par, I think he's probably better than Janet Yellen. He was probably as good as Bernanke and Greenspan. I think he was probably better than Greenspan. So again, I don't think he's going to go down as horrible. I think he had clearly some mistakes, with inflation and rates, but I don't think he's the train wreck that some people make him out to be. And I don't think he's been a train wreck. I don't think he's been the best, but I don't think he's been a train wreck either.
All right. This one was on your, let's see, we'll go with, we'll kind of combine these two. They're kind of related a little bit.
Okay.
So this one was on your video with Cody Davis, real estate goals for 2026. So this question says, your perfect portfolio You said your perfect portfolio of 20 single-family homes. Does that include duplexes to quads or just one family or single-family houses? And then I guess part of the another question from Funny Tech Bros asking, are you considering reducing your real estate allocation in light of the rise of socialism and outright communism in America?
So question number one, I do think my ideal portfolio, if I could wave a magic wand, would be 20 single family homes uh, with an average of less than 5 years old. That would be my example. And yes, it's only single family homes. I don't include duplexes, tris, or quads in that. It would be just 20 relatively young single family homes. That's my personal ideal portfolio. Longest tenure, least maintenance, all the above. Now for the next question, absolutely not. I typically see overregulation as a way of, typically backfiring. See rent control. Rent control has actually made landlords more money than taken away. Now, socialism or the rise of that could certainly cause me to change my allocation. For example, if I was investing, if my portfolio was built in LA County, let me be very, very clear, I would sell every single thing I owned. If somebody gave me a house in LA County, I would sell it. I wouldn't rent it to someone. It's just it's Russia times North Korea plus Cuba. It's just like the rules there are insane. But thankfully, most of the country is not going LA County crazy. But no, I like to be in red cities, in blue states. I think blue states just make it hard to build, but red states, or red cities in blue states, give the landlords at least some opportunity to profit. So no, I'm not going to change my allocation. And frankly, I believe all this socialist nonsense is going to blow up spectacularly. I think New York City is going to be a dumpster fire. I think Seattle is going to be a dumpster fire. I think LA County is so bad. I think what's his name, Chris Pratt or somebody, just threw his hat in the ring to run for LA mayor against that debacle of a mayor who destroyed the Palisades. So I think I think we're on the cusp of socialism proving to be a complete disaster once again. And typically the pendulum swings the other way. So no, I'm not changing my allocation.
And the other day, your daily financial went a little early
Yeah.
live. People weren't aware, but there was a good reason for that. You had to take your daughter to the
Yep.
airport. So there was a lot of positive comments saying, yeah, great job. That's very important. But your daughter's also in New York City, right? So is there any concerns with that or plans to?
Nope. Nope. Thankfully we're in a position to buy a home for our daughter and she lives there. It's not a rental. So no, she loves it. She doesn't like to drive. So she loves the fact that she can get on the train or the subway. And we talked about it over the break. She's happy. So, she doesn't, she's, no, she's fine. So thank you for that.
And so that, yeah, we're talking about enough, right? Like you're able to take her to the airport, you move
Mhm.
your flexible schedule. And so this one, you didn't, I'm not sure if you shared this one, but I saw this one from Coach Carson on X.
Mm.
It says the hardest word in financial independence is enough. So
Mhm.
many investors keep chasing more doors, more units, more zeros without ever
Yeah.
stopping to ask, what is enough for my life?
Yeah. I think Coach Carson, Dion, little bit myself are great examples of this because I think that's a question we don't ask ourselves enough. We don't really understand it. And this is always becomes obvious to me when a tragedy hits. I think the biggest example in recent memory, if you're a sports fan, was Kobe Bryant. Right, Kobe Bryant played, I don't know, 20 years for the Los Angeles Lakers. He retires. He goes on to write a screenplay, wins an Academy Award, right, or an Oscar, one of those two things, right. And he was writing children's books and doing all these amazing things. His second season of life probably would have impacted more people than his first, which was a top 5 basketball player, and it was cut short. And Olivia and I happened to be in Taiwan when the news came through, and I remember thinking, what a shame. Somebody who had so much more time to give, the means to give, the name to give, that he could have impacted more people in the next 50 years than he did the last 20, and just cut short. And, as I'm sitting in Taiwan for one of our crazy vacations, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not working, right? I've said this a lot. In 2018, with the surprise job loss, I looked at the financial mountain and just chose to sit down. I do reserve the right to stand up and climb again if we want to. But, we've been sitting down and enjoying the view for 8 years, and we're having so much more fun reaching down and pulling people up. And, back to Coach Carson, right? We're about to do our third annual event in Vegas, and Coach Carson's speech from our first session, our first year, was the most impactful speech of that event, and it was all about enough. And I've never forgotten that conversation. And I think more people need to know what the goal is and not change it. I think there are a lot of people that look at Pace Morby, Grant Cardone, Ryan Pineda and others who just seemingly keep moving. And I'm like, no. I mean, Pace Morby, for example, is on a 100-city tour in an RV, which is amazing. If that's the energy and passion you have, I can't imagine how fun that is to interact with hundreds and hundreds of fans every day for 100 days. And he'll be at our event in Vegas, right? We've timed it so that he's going to be in Vegas for his 100-city tour. He'll be there on that Sunday. And I just couldn't do it. I want to spend my time differently. And that's, my enough is a lot smaller. I mean, Pace Morby, I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, it's got to be north of 100 million. It might even be north of $500 million. He's worth a lot more than I am. I mean, like 20x or 50x or whatever it is. But you know what? My time is spent how I want. So again, yeah, people need to figure out enough and stick to it.
Well, that is the perfect segue into this comment on the video that you replayed of Pace
Yep.
and the Three Amigos. So this was a replay of Pace Morby on why most people are doing rentals wrong, I believe.
Yep.
And you shared this one. It says, sorry if I pronounce Walewa, I believe. The comment is that most people aren't meant to scale like Pace Morby. He shows what's possible, not what's necessary. Real freedom is a handful of solid assets and knowing when to stop. Build the life you want, not a unit count for Instagram.
That one part of the line near the end there, build the life you want, is a skill that I don't think a lot of people execute on. Maybe it's not a skill, maybe it's an activity, right? Anna Kelly sometimes talks about life by design. And I don't know, maybe there's just an activity, a questionnaire, something we could create that's free, because I don't think enough people think about the life by design. Like, what's the life you really want? Some of us, probably most of us, think about the money, but we don't think about how we want to spend our time. And thankfully, by complete luck, my job was removed from me early and I already had enough money. So I got to figure out how I wanted to spend my time. So how do I spend my time? I spend the morning, like I always do, reading the financial news for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the day. That hasn't changed in 30 years. Then I come in front of this camera starting at 7:30 a.m. and I go till 11 o'clock. So call it 3.5 hours, only 5 days a week. And then I go on my health journey and I have dinner and lunch and do whatever I want. Why does this work for me? Because Olivia sleeps in till 10 and I'm up at fucking 5:15 without an alarm clock. It's ridiculous. So I get to spend, 4 hours being me and helping people. And then when Olivia's up, we get to go do stuff together. I got the perfect life, man. Every day's Saturday. It's pretty awesome.
And this one was a kind of combination of your journey, financial freedom and now health. But this one was on your daily financial news, nasty unemployment spike ahead.
Mm.
So, and you're talking about Jelly Roll in that video, and Flash of Flight 8160 says Jelly Roll's weight loss is much more important than the number of doors and wealth building. Health before wealth. You can't take your money with you when the Grim Reaper shows up earlier than expected. Dying shortly after 50 is far from a near zero chance. Those of us 50 plus really have to watch our weight, diet, and other health metrics, not just whether a property is an alligator after a disrespectful offer.
I agree with the intent behind that. health is wealth. I think there's a saying that goes something like this: a healthy person can have 1,000 problems, but an unhealthy person has one. And that only becomes more relevant the older you get, right? I often joke about 20-year-olds being made of plastic because they recover so quickly. But trying to get healthy over 50 is hard. It just is hard. Your body, your hormones, your blood work, it's just all fighting against you. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Jelly Roll at one point was over 500 pounds, addicted to cocaine and some other drug. He writes about this in the article of Men's Health, so I'm not speaking anything out of turn. And he was on his path to die very young. And, he's dropped over, I think, 275 pounds. It said in the article. I think now it's over 300 pounds. And yeah, he's just he's just a different human being. And I think I want more people to realize that they can get healthy just by moving more. I mean, if you just figure out what your daily walking steps are and add 2,000 steps to whatever your average is, you're going to lose weight if you do nothing else. I do think if you can afford it, which I think most people that watch my channel can, you should go get your blood work done, because I think there are some things going on in your body that if you address early, you can make dramatic impacts. But yeah, my health journey, I dropped 40 pounds of fat, added 12 pounds of muscle, went from roughly 35% body fat to 12, was mainly free. I walked a hell of a lot more. I ate real good food. I did some blood work. Now, I also have money, so I took peptides and did some other things. But I don't think the peptides probably helped 5%, 8%. When I'm glad I took them. But, you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend $1,000 a month on peptides. But yeah, it's I think everybody could move more and eat just a little better. And the last thing is, don't drink your calories, cut out alcohol, because it's just poison for your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even just, I mean, it is diet, exercise, but it's even just the stress. And I think you and
Yeah.
Cody talked about it, him kind of cleaning up his
Oh yeah.
portfolio. His hair grew back, right? I know he
Yeah.
talked about it, right? He went
Cortisol.
bald.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
So let's wrap it up maybe with this comment in school. So people need to join school
Mhm.
because there's a lot of your interaction going on there. But Frank, old guy REI, put a question out there. Says, where does real estate create the most friction?
Mm.
What part of real estate do you enjoy the least? Is it dealing with tenants and issues, repairs, maintenance, and surprises, managing people, PMs, contractors, partners? Is it like number tracking, admin work? Is it dealing with financing, lending, paperwork, or is it something else? Where would be the most friction for you?
Yeah, I think first off, Frank's an amazing guy. Look forward to seeing him this year. We missed him last year at the event. I think I think it depends on who you are. I think all of those are areas where friction could be. If you're asking me specifically, I don't know that I don't think any area is, because I've been doing it so long and have set up so many systems. Um, I guess I would say the hardest part for me going back to the first 5 to 10 years was managing the property manager. Because again, we lived out of the area. I fired the first 5, which was a horrible experience. And then it took me probably 5 more years to set up the systems now with my property manager and to get to a size where we could have a single point of contact with daily communications. I get an email every morning at 8:30 with all my metrics. So again, I can scan it in 5 minutes, and most days I do nothing with it, and some days I have questions. Um, but yeah, for me, it was managing the manager, and I think that's where it is for most of us. Because again, buying a property, getting a buy box, writing offers, following up, that's a point in time, but you own these things for years. So it's most likely in the operations, right? Dealing with tenants, managing the manager. That would be my guess for most people. Some people hate numbers, so maybe it's the spreadsheet and the accounting of it. I don't know. But I like numbers, so that's fine for me. But yeah, I think that's where probably managing the manager, getting that right, because that'll make or break you. Managing the manager.
All right, so people need to join school because that's where you'll be live streaming the event, right? And I
Mhm.
just want to let
Absolutely.
people know there's 5 more free 1 month of school that came up because our
Nice.
fantasy football season wrapped up, and one of the winners decided to donate their winnings
Oh,
to pay
wow.
for he said, yeah, pay for people's first month. So there's about 5 months, 5 more slots for first free month at school. So come join
That's
us.
amazing.
And just letting everyone know, Chester, reach out, try to find Wealth Building Journey. He's setting up a WhatsApp chat so everyone can communicate at the Vegas event to know where everyone is and kind of coordinate where people are meeting up at. But one more week for the ticket sales, right?
Yeah, one more week. Yeah, actually, 1 week from today. We're recording this on the 8th. They go off sale on the 15th. So you've only got 1 week left. Go to Eventbrite. I'll put a link below. But yeah, join school. Get 5 more people get a month free. So we'll see you in there. Thank you for all you do, Mark.
All right. Have a good day.
Where can they find you?
Financial Firefighter everywhere. YouTube, X, Instagram, LinkedIn too. Now you're writing on there too. So I see you there.
There you go. Thanks, buddy.